Okay, so welcome everybody, and thank you for being here tonight. Well, my name is Katja HANSEL. I'm actually a coach, a trainer. I am an NLP master practitioner, and I have my own company, and I also work for the World Food Program and as a docent at a business school. So, and tonight I have the great pleasure of having Pascal STRAUSS here. And he's the Mapstell ambassador in Germany, Switzerland, and also Austria. And we have the greatest pleasure here because we have Mr. Visionary and founder of Mapstell, and that is Sebastian Rompa. So I hand over to Sebastian. Okay, is that good? That we hand over to Sebastian first and then to Pascal. So Sebastian can tell us a bit about his genius idea of using the disc assessments to create and make something wonderful and very interactive and amazing out of it. So
Okay,
go
well,
ahead, Sebastian.
Katja, thank you
Thank
so
you for
much.
being here.
You make me a bit shy. Um, I thought to myself, because you have quite a session ahead, I thought to myself, let me put some bullets which might be helpful of you. First of all, I'm not the chairman here tonight, but first of all, welcome and how nice and interested that you are and to want to learn more about MapStell and personal mapping, which is something really new. As you stated before, Katja, yes, I am the founder of the company, but I want to express that Heller, you know Heller, meanwhile, is
Mhm.
now in charge and runs the daily business. I'm more on the side of product development now. We are a small company. However, we are international active in Germany, Spain, Hong Kong, India, the USA, United Kingdom, and of course, our home market is the Netherlands. However, many people think Mapstell, that should be an American company. No, it's a typical Dutch company, small, and we are proud to have our concept internationally rolled out. Because why? It means that the, let's say, personal mapping based on associative cartography is an international understood metaphor. It's playful, it's divisible, easy to show and share. You show your map, your personal map to each other, and you don't have to read long-winded reports from others, which is time-consuming. And if you read the reports, suppose in a team map session, it can take a while before, because you have to read each other's reports, and then you forgot more than 80% of it. So just to make one thing very clear, personal mapping is based on disk. I myself also are a disk trained person. I did my courses in the USA and I was fascinated by behavior style. My background is very briefly, I studied law and I did a few years of psychology, but at a certain moment, I started also a cartographic company, active in uh, route navigation and things like that. But at a certain moment, I thought to myself, you can do other things with mapping and cartography than just how do I drive from Amsterdam to Bologna, just to give an example. Because therefore you need a map and you need a route navigation system. Now I thought to myself, and it sounds a bit woolly, and you will notice that I suffer enthusiasm. I thought to myself, actually, maybe life is a journey, and if life is a journey, it needs a map. Okay, to cut a long story short, it's all based on disk, which is important, and I assume most of you are familiar with disk and the principles. And we use cartographic metaphors like life is a journey and put yourself on the map. You are the center of your own map. As I said, it's not a complicated or long-winded report, but also, and this is very important for all of you, a very decorative product. At first, it looks like first, when you look, it looks like a visual product, but, and this is something which will Pascal explain later on during your session, it's certainly also a very linguistic product. The words and their meaning lead to interesting dialogues. Okay. Finally, the world of difference is an easy reference map to get also acquainted with the different behavior styles at one quick glance. So you learn to know very easy the different behavior styles based on this. Then we, as a company, small company again, we have a philosophy. We believe that behavior is a very important element in our lives. And Mapstell believes, therefore, in creating a world of understanding. And let's face it, you can do serious things in a fun way. And let's be honest, dealing with people and mutual communication is a very serious topic. Now, there's always a moment where people have questions, but before you start your possible questions, let me put one question which arises all the time on the table. You might have seen the world of the world of difference, and a question that might arise is, has the form or the design of the world of difference a special meaning? You can think of a left brain, a right brain, but the answer is very disappointing for you. No, it's just a map based on what we called, as I said before, associative cartography. So that's actually the bullets I want to address to you before you start your inspiring and informative session with Pascal. But maybe there are questions.
Are there any questions? Hello, everyone who has joined us. I saw Paula has joined us and Marlene. And anyone else? No, not so far. Does anyone have any questions? Well, we're going to get more into details and talk about the world of difference. That's actually what you call the map, correct? Why is it that you called the map the world of difference? Because every single person is different, I assume.
Well, Katja, that's a good question. Actually, it's an expression. We use metaphors, and the expression, this is, or people can be from a different planet or come from a world of difference. And we use that expression because the metaphors we use, like the world of difference, or another example, a big city might be more important than a little village. A river stands for the flow, a mountain you have to climb, and on the top you realize maybe it's better in the valley, or the other way around. So it's full of metaphors, which everybody actually quite easy can understand. So world of difference is just an expression.
Okay, well, thank you so much for now.
It was a pleasure.
So does anyone have any questions? Probably not yet. I think we will start with the presentation, and I'm sure then questions will come up, you know. So thank you so much. You know, we are actually working on bringing Mapstell to Italy and having it translated into Italian, so we can also bring it into Italian companies, into Italian universities, and so on. So that's the main goal for 2021. It is already available in German, in Dutch, of course, as you mentioned before, in Spanish, and in English, of course. So in quite a number of languages, but we're working on the Italian language as well, which is very important since we're all so close.
And we expect, Katja, that will happen somewhere in 2021, so coming year.
Yes.
Let me explain to all of you before I leave this session, because then I leave it to you. One thing, as I told you before, it is not only a lovely visual product, a map, which is a decorative thing, but it's also a lingual product, and which effectively means that translation is a very complex thing. Why? Because we use all that kind of metaphor. So every language has its own specific expressions, and that makes translation, let's put it mild, to a real challenge.
Can I ask you one more thing? Because I know since you're the product manager and you're like always out there to come up with new inspiring visuals and techniques and tools and whatnot. So what do you have in store for us next year or over the coming years? Because I hear that there's a lot of virtual stuff coming up.
Well, there are a few. It's always difficult to reveal the secrets, but we have a few. We have a few products um, on in the pipeline at the moment, and I think
Okay.
for you the most important thing is what we call the 360 concept, which means, for instance, Katja, you can fill in the map for others. And actually, as we all know, as we sit here, one of the, well, important questions people have about themselves is what I call the identify question. Who am I? Who do I want to be? How do other people perceive me? And 360 gives answers to that. And the result is also a map. And the answers people give about you, Katja, for instance, is you get the world of difference map, and next to your personal map, you also see some elements of people who say, well, Katja is also quite conscientious, or she's very stable. And then you see other words which are not in your personal map, but they refer to you because other people say, yeah, that's Katja as well. So that's what we will launch early 2021. And a
That's
few
very
other,
exciting.
and at last, because you know, as I told you, our service enthusiasm, we are working on some very spectacular visual products. And one of the things, and that's I like to emphasize to all of you, the difficulty and the challenge for everybody who is in charge with assessments and things like that, companies or guides or trainers, they might ask the question, why should I, in this case, use personal mapping? Well, it's very important that you can quantify that. You can explain what the use of the use of personal mapping brings you. And that's a product which we will also present early 2021, and it is staggering and it will change your life. Well,
Okay, well, very good. Thank you
I leave
so
you.
much for
I
being
leave you.
here with us
And
tonight and for your time.
yeah, I
Um,
leave you, and I wish you a very inspiring session with Pascal. Pascal, talk soon.
Thanks,
Good luck,
Sebastian.
everybody. Bye-bye.
okay,
Bye.
bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Sebastian. All right, we're handing over to Pascal now to find out more about personal mapping, what it can be integrated with, you know, with all your trainings. If you're already a trainer, a coach, if you're already an HR professional, or maybe you're just learning about all this and want to get into this kind of profession, it is so useful even for teachers, you know, to use in schools with teenagers, even for families at home. I find this is like a genius tool, you know, to find out why we react and act the way we do, who we really are, how people perceive us, and so on. I hand over to you, Pascal. Thank you so much for being here. Pascal, as I said, is the ambassador of Mapstell in Germany, Switzerland, and Austria, and he's been with the company from the beginning, so he knows everything about it. Go ahead. Thank you.
Thanks, Katja. And I will, first of all, thanks for everybody who's joining. Hello to everybody on Facebook. We're on Facebook Live on Katja's page, so you can look it up later on. We're also recording it, so if you want to have some stuff, just contact Katja. So thanks for inviting me here. Yeah, I'm first of all, maybe to me personally, I'm a trainer and a coach since 25 years now, working in learning and development. I'm close to the 50, so half time. So there, then the next speed of goes in the coming years. But I work with a lot of different approaches, and when it comes to behavioral assessment and to behavioral tools, I like to work with Mapstell since 2016 now. I'm doing that. I'm also a trainer, as you know. The ambassador means actually that I help to grow it in the German-speaking market, but actually also in the international one, as internet made it, of course, possible that we go internationally quickly. But I use it because it's simple and people understand it, and it doesn't make things complicated. And on the other side, which is very important, is that people not only get access to it, but they understand that it depends on their own point of view. So actually what MAPSTELL is doing, it opens a dialogue. It opens a dialogue how people perceive it, how you perceive it, how I perceive it, and it's all based on the perception. So everything is based on the biological and psychological ways of how we perceive things, how were we brought up, and so on and so on and so on. And that makes it easier. It's like MAPSTELL, if you want, how can I say that? Is like going to a marriage counselor. It's to have an indirect communication, and it's not confronting anymore. It's starting really up to have a dialogue in the deepest way, what dialogos means, so to listen, to understand, and not to reply. So that's why we can ask questions, and it's always indirect. And as everybody grew up with maps, and we know these concepts, we have Google Maps, we work with that every day actually. People get it, and it's also a nice metaphor of finding a way towards each other. So this is as a trainer actually a nice tool. What the second thing is, which is very important, is that as the map, and I will just share the screen so that you get to see the whole world of difference.
You know, while you're doing this, Pascal, I would also like to add that you know, the human being becomes more, and communication becomes more and more important in our virtual world, no? Because communication is getting lost. So to have the world of difference and to really work on more effective communication, on problem solving and conflict resolution and so on, like this, even internally and externally, is just fundamental today, I believe. So
what it also exactly what you say, because as communication nowadays goes a lot via computers and WhatsApp and everything, and we all know that we have difficulties. You know, we know when it comes to emotions, it's 7% the content, and it's 38% of how we say it, and it's 55% body language. That all goes lost. And we all have this experience I think, well, in my personal experience, you know, you get a message, you read it, of course you perceive it your way, that means you interpret it your way, then you write a message back, then you get a message, then you write a message back, and then finally you take the telephone, and then that's the way how you meant it.
Exactly.
And that's with a lot of things. So what this tool is doing is opening this way of understanding each other when it comes to how other people see it and might perceive it. Also when it comes to behavior. And actually when I work now with this also in bigger companies, I will give some tips also towards how we use it. We implemented it in curriculums in universities already. So also there it is possible to work with. We have these references. What it does is that number one problem is always communication. When it comes down to it, it's communication. It's not about the skills of somebody. That's our facts, and these things have solutions quickly. But there, where it really where sand is in the machine, it's communication, and this is where this opens at least a dialogue, because when you want to have communication, you need a vocabulary that is the same. And this, when it comes at least to behavior, MAPSTELL is opening that door. But the second important thing about MAPSTELL is that the training itself is based on a giant map that we put on the floor. So the picture that you see right now, that's the world of difference based on disk. I will go to that into a minute, how it is based, how it is built and designed. What happens is that it gives also the possibility to work in a systemic way. So people are making a actual physical experience to stand on the map, to see maybe how close they are to certain people, how far they are from certain people. We do exercises on this giant map. This is so fun, so much fun. As a trainer, you go directly into the role of a facilitator, and it makes it easy for people to make that experience themselves. Of course, if you have any questions, just put it into the chat, and Katja already answered one. Unfortunately, in Swedish, not yet, as Katja rightfully said so. But of course, we're always looking for people that can support us. But don't expect that tomorrow you can translate that very easily. First, you have to get to know the tool, and so on and so on. You will see how that all goes. And when it comes to Mapstell, oh, this is this was actually the picture. This is the Harry Potter picture from 2016 when I did my accreditation. I found it on the Mapstell webpage. I had to share it. Yeah, it's already some days ago. Sebastian already said had his talk. Sebastian is really an inspiring and really nice person. I know him now for some years. He's busy with a lot of stuff and always bringing Mapstell to the next level. I will give maybe some more details about what is still in the pipeline and what they are working on. Not in detail, because of course it has to be developed to 300%, but they are working to improve it also to the new circumstances of online training, of focusing on online training and online coaching. Also there.
And may I say something, Pascal?
Yes,
and
of course.
This is really also the different with all the other assessments on the market, no? Because Mapstell is so interactive, and they're always a step ahead, I believe. That's how I perceive it, at least.
Well, so. It is the agile management. It's a small company, but still connected to universities and getting feedback from all over the place, also from companies, because they like to work with it, and so they get very quickly feedback towards this, also from the trainers. And the trainers, the accredited guides, how you also are one, they also give always feedback. Okay, we can improve it here and there, and this is taken very serious. So actually, it's a community of people developing this to the next level, and then we look that we can bring it in. As I already said it, Mapstell is helping you to establish, when it comes to behavior, one vocabulary. And that's very important, so that people can start to understand each other. And when it comes then to creating empathy in the team, or with the one person, that's also possible. You mentioned families, also possible. That's also one of the things that you can do. But in a team, in companies, when it comes to empathy, it is important to see, okay, what is empathy? What does it mean? It means to understand why another person is doing it differently in the end. And this has as a base three parts that are very important, and they are all built in this tool. It's withholding judgment, which is very important. So it's always about your perspective. How do you see it? And then it's also about taking their perspective, which literally you can do by going into another country. And that's done by going 2 meters on the map. You can go there to get another perspective. And then, of course, also considering emotions, which is also a part, as we in Mapstell also work with, we call it then sunny days, rainy days, and when it comes also about stress. So also how stress is influencing your behavior. And also this is something what you can measure. This is something where you can get a result. But the results that we get, actually every result that we get, we are, of course, stereotyping and then giving it a nuance, which is with the 16 styles. I come to that in a minute. But always we are asking the participants, what does it mean for them? How they interpret the things. What does it mean for you? That's very important to get these, or not to tell other people how they should interpret their own behavior, which of course is then a very difficult step, as otherwise we would only have 16 types of people on the planet, and I don't think that this is the case. So we have to always to see it from the individual perspective. But Mapstell gives a bigger context, and that's actually what we need. Everything is on the biological and psychological ways how we perceive things, and that sometimes we see things from a different angle. Sometimes, yeah, and it's in companies happening more often on a daily basis as we may imagine. But as MAPSTEL is based on the individual perspective, and the concept that we see the world always from our view, and that it's always the truth from our view. It's always the truth. As we know, our grandmother, when she told us, you have to walk in the shoes of somebody for 1,000 miles, and so on and so on. These truths are eternal, and they stay true. And it's the same principles that we also work with our tool, also to take this a little bit into a more practical way, and so that the majority of people not only understands what this is about and what the DISC model is about, but also applies it on a daily basis. Because only then it's important, then it's only working in companies when they apply it, what they just learned. And in the companies that I work with, believe it or not, some people, they have the whole map on the floor, on the wall. They hang it up on the wall. They are really proud on certain things. They have it. Oh yeah, look at this. Yeah, this is my map. And they also talk about this. And what is this? Yeah, this is my map. This is how I behave. This is, and then they go and they start to have a positive feeling about this. And that's also very important, to talk about the strength and the talents that we have, to focus on these things. Of course, also the pitfalls, they are also on there, and also how other people might perceive it. It's also on there, but actually it's very nice that we focus on these things. And that actually from every angle that we shed a light on what we are analyzing, every viewpoint is true. Every part of how we see things, the direction that we go to is true. What we need is a concept that gives us the view to take a step back. This is why we need these theoretical concepts, so that in the emotion or in the situation where we are ourselves, sometimes we need something, a principle or concepts, to take a step out of that, and to see it from a bigger angle. And we all had already that experience, I suppose, that we went out of a situation where there were some emotions involved, and we go there, and afterwards we say, oh shit, I shouldn't have said this, I shouldn't have done this, and so on and so on. So we reflect actually on our own behavior, but in the situation it's difficult. It is difficult because emotions are involved. And this is why it helps when we all speak the same language, when we have the same concepts that we work with, and there MAPSTEL works because it is simple to apply and it's not too complicated. And when we this is then, we have certain levels that we work in MAPSTEL. We first always work with the eye level, so that people start to acknowledge where their preferred behavioral style is. And this is also what Sebastian meant with language, the preferred behavioral style. It means that if we have to choose, if we have to make a choice, then we go there. It's like the place, your happy place. It's like where you want to go. It's that's your place on the world. It's where when you choose to do something. So that means that you have all the options, but if you have to make a choice, then you go there. And it's the second level is then the U level, when it goes to recognizing that there are also people behaving in a different way. And this is also, maybe to add what Sebastian said, why it's called the world of difference. Because different just means different. It doesn't mean better or worse or good or bad. That's already, again, a judgment. Different is different. And this is why this is called the world of difference. The people, the styles that are on it, they are not good or not bad. They are just different. This is why we also call it a scan or a questionnaire. So this is what you get when you're doing a MAPSTEL. You get a scan. So we're just scanning. Dependent on your choices, what you make with the questionnaire, we scan. We don't have a test, because a test a lot of people have still in their mind from school, a test, you can succeed or you can fail. It's good or bad. And this is something we have to take out of this completely, out of these behavioral scans, because then, as DISC is based also on enthusiasm, on introvert and extrovert, then you have, and that's at least my experience with other tools, a lot of people that have most likely introvert energy say then things like, okay, then I'm not cool, and they start then to judge already themselves. And then you take the whole strength out of these assessments. And of course, the last level is the connecting, when you have a lot of interactive possibilities to work with the map, to show people where they are, where other people are, and then finding a way to each other, like on Google Maps, finding a way to each other, also in communication, understanding each other, and also to do that on a physical way, which is more has more weight to it, as our unconscious mind is also programmed and influencing us on a daily level, to work also with the body. So to have an embodied training, to let them do physical experiences in that, is really funny what sometimes comes out. Katja, you had a question, or you wanted
Yeah,
to
no, I actually wanted to add to this, like, where does this perception come from? I mean, every single one of us, you know, even the few people that are here tonight, I mean, every single person has grown up in a different way, with a different religion, different background, maybe in a different country. You know, we all have different perceptions due to our upbringing, our religion, everything, no? So obviously, that's where our judgment also oftentimes comes from, no? The way we see ourselves, the way we see the world, the way we see other people. And we're all human, so it happens oftentimes that we judge very quickly. So to take a step back is absolutely essential. And that's why I believe, you know, the scans that Mapstell offers, the 25 questions that you take, I mean, it offers such a world, you know, of, and a wealth of knowledge, basically, you know, that you can take home with you. And especially with the guide then who walks you through your journey, it's just magical. Thank you.
Absolutely. And what you experience sometimes is so extraordinary. So I want to give you one example. We have these people on a map. So you have maybe I go back, or you will see the map later on. I will show it later again. So you have people standing on that map. And I had a training with a big company where we were training first the leaders of the company, and the CEO was standing on a map on his place, on his happy place, if you like, where he likes, how also he likes to see, get seen, gets perceived from other people. And his personal assistant was also there, and we put both of them on the map, and they were not really close to each other. And I asked the CEO, can you go to the place of your personal assistant? What do you like? Is there something what challenges you? And we had a nice talk about this. And that worked. And what happened is, when we did that vice versa, and the personal assistant had to do that, she literally didn't dare to make a step into the world of the CEO. She was not aware of this. She was stopping at the border, on the map, at the border, where she was standing and looking over. You know, when you look over something like this, you know, on the other side, and she was looking, and everybody in the room saw it, even the CEO. And he was asking later the question, why were you afraid to step into that spot? And she said, oh, I don't know. I was not aware of this. And he asked the right question. He said, are you afraid of my behavior? And she said, sometimes. That was the first time where they had an open, honest dialogue. And that made their teamwork, which is very important for a CEO and a personal assistant, way, way better, as they could tune into each other, you know. And that was what was happening during the training. So it's not only to do the scan, it's not only to understand how it works, but it's also working with the things. And there, of course, you will have so much inspiration yourself on how you want to do that with all your experience, because of course there's a standard way of doing it, but when you're experienced trainer, facilitator, you can always adapt it to the way how you want to do that. In the end, it comes to the point that it's about understanding, and not necessarily, that doesn't necessarily mean to agree. And this is where this tool really opens the door of starting to understand each other, instead of that you have to agree and you have to do this. No, but I understand. It doesn't mean that I see it exactly like this, but then you can explain it how you see it. And that makes a company, a team, a family, but also a person, if you use it as a coaching tool, also as a person, way stronger, because they start to open also their minds to these bigger concepts. So that's the world of difference, and it's based still, and I will put the here this on. You still, they turned it a little bit around by 90 degrees actually, and you can see where is it? Here is still the D from the disk. Here is still the I from the disk in the corners. I'm just making red, if you can see that. Here's the S, and here's the C, and you will see in a minute how that works. So it's
Pascal,
yes.
I believe that there's some people who do not even know what the D, I, S, and C stand for.
Perfect. I'm going
so
to go that
we can be a little more specific.
Where the disk model is based on. Yeah, that's great, because that's actually what we measured. So that's the next points. Thanks, Katja, for that. That's the next point. So the disk model is actually something where William Moulton Marston worked on, and he was a professor 100 years ago in America at a university. And he not only invented, because actually that knowledge is there since, I think even Aristoteles worked with the four models. And when you go to other cultures, you see that they use wind, earth, they use different approaches to explain it, but actually they work with the same four basic behavioral styles. And what William Moulton Marston did is he put it into a scientifically into a scientific approach. He actually also was the inventor of the lie detector, and he was the inventor of Wonder Woman. So if you like the Avengers or something, no, it's not the Avengers, sorry, it's the others. How are they called? Superman and whatever. So if you're into that, great. He was actually a very inventive guy, but he was also doing that. And he based it on two things that we learn as children. How the world is reacting to us, and how are we reacting to the world. These are actually the two dimensions that are making up the thing that is measured. So one thing is measured is if you are an introvert or an extrovert, if you have more introvert energy or more extrovert energy. And that can differ from the roles that you have. So that can be that you're at home, have a different energy than at your soccer club, and so on and so on. That's completely possible. But let's assume we talk now about one context, and that context is then work related. Let's say it like this. And you have a certain amount of introvert or extrovert energy, and you're not either 100% on one side or on the other. It's like a scale, so you can move on it. And that's how you have that. Introvert energy is more, of course, how it's then called introvert. It's going to the inside, and extrovert energy is going to the outside. And it's more than the faster ways of also doing it. And introvert take more the slow pace. And this is what you learn, actually. This is scientifically proven that this is partly nature and partly nurture. So partly what you get from your parents, but also what you learn as a child. So are you very well protected? And the parents always say, no, don't do it. Yeah. Then you learn, okay, maybe I have to be more cautious. Maybe I have to look first what is going to happen. Or are your parents telling you, oh yeah, go out and fall on your nose, and maybe then you learn that you know to do it, and so on. And maybe that's the style that your parents teach you. And then you learn, oh yeah, but I go out and I just do. And I think while doing. That's also possible. And both is good. There is no good and bad in this. It's just something that we learned. That we learned when we were growing up. The second dimension that we measure, and that's also very well documented, is actually either your task oriented or the scale of being task oriented and people oriented. And actually there it's also very important to understand that this is not either you are one or the other, but you are both. It depends on the priority. And this is also where a lot of dialogues, and not even dialogues, let's call it discussion, that's the truth of the matter, that the discussions come of the priorities that we set. Introvert and extrovert is more an energy on how we go out and how we see things and how we approach things. Task oriented and people oriented is about our priorities. What is first? Is it first the task and then the people, or is it first the people and then the task? Is it your approach that you say, okay, I want to reach these and these goals, that's why I choose that and that team and I look for the team members? Or do you say, okay, I hired that team, let's look for the task and the goals that we can all together reach with that team? It's a different approach. It's a different approach if you are a soccer coach and you say, okay, the task is to win the championship. That means I need these and these and these players. Or do you go to a club and they say, okay, these are the players. What can we reach with them? It's a different approach. Is there where also most the discussions come from, where I say, yeah, but guys, come on, as a company, we have to reach our goal. We have to make money. Otherwise, we cannot survive. And then maybe the HR person says, yeah, but wait a minute. You have to treat the people right because they earn the money. Otherwise, it doesn't work. Yeah, but wait a minute. No. First, we have to, if without goals, they don't even know what to do. So first the goals, and then we treat the people right. And then that other person maybe again say, wait a minute. No. If you treat the people right, then with them together, you can determine the goals. And there you see already where the dialogue is. And this opens the door to having a dialogue that actually in the combination, it makes the strength. Not either or, not is it on one side or the other, which side is better? No, it's a world of understanding so that we understand that another person may have different priorities, may have another way of seeing it. And these two dimensions, they make up the DISC model, where the D stands for decisive. So it's the task-oriented and extrovert energy, is going to the things, being in competition, a decisive energy, a decisive behavior. The I stands for influential, and we have that also with the colors. That's a basic DISC approach to call it with the colors. So we have the I with influential, and the influential energy is then the extrovert energy, but on the people-oriented side. So there you see the optimists, there you see the enthusiasts, you see the people that go on more on a diplomatic route, that we talk to the people, that we get it done, but they take more the action in the initiative. Then you have the S in the stable area, that's the green energy, that's the introvert part, and the people-oriented, there you see the taking care of people. The helpers that are going really first the team, then me. They put always other people first. That's more situated over there. And then you have the C with the conscientious people, that conscientious energy, conscientious behavior, where it goes into the introvert and to the task-oriented people. So there it's about quality, there it's about details, about doing the things right and doing it by the book. Because these things are on paper and that's okay. And the combination of these four is very strong, If there's a good balance in a team, you can reach incredible good things, and you can also balance these things out. That's all part of the training that we can actually give you along the part where you either use the tool or want to be accredited as a guide. What Mapstell did with this tool, with this basic DISC approach, they made it more nuanced. So they gave it a nuance. What they said is that they will combine always everything what in the measurement. So when you have these questions, this questionnaire, the scan, you get a certain result in every behavior and every energy of the four. So it's always between 0 and 100%. So 0, 100% red energy, 0, 100% yellow energy, and so on and so on. So what Mapstell said is that everything what is above 50% is on a daily basis recognizable behavior. And this is what they then combined. And this is where you get these so-called styles, where they make a combination, where they say, okay, in the corners, you have the things like analyst, leader, entertainer, and helper. They only have one color, what they call above the midline, so above 50%. So you have here these in the corners. They have only one behavior, which is on a daily basis you can observe. And they show also the leader. On red is not so good visible, but you get the idea. And you have the entertainer. And then you have the combinations of two. You have the mediator. The mediator, for example, it's always then with the direct neighbor. Mediator is highest behavior in yellow energy and second highest in green energy. Carer is vice versa. You have the enthusiast, which is highest energy yellow also, because that's where it's situated. But the neighbor is the red energy, and here it goes is the combination. So the second highest color is there.
Could I ask something?
Of course.
Could we possibly give like a quick overview of who could be decisive and dominant, for instance? It's someone who's very ambitious, who loves new projects, who loves challenge, you know. So, and could you kind of give like an example of each so everyone can understand?
Well, yeah, I can give some examples on how you can perceive that behavior.
Yeah.
Of course, to determine the person is to determine the person would not be the right way to do it. But when it comes to behavior, when it comes to decisive behavior, well, you see that when the person comes in and says, so like, guys, we're going to do it like this, like this, like this, like this, like this. I'm come back in 10 minutes. See you later. So they are competitive. They are straight to the point. They are direct. They are very taking the lead, how it is also. They like to take decisions, which also means, of course, if you are dealing with a person with a lot of red energy, then please let that person take the decision. Give him options. Go there and say, I would say it now, hey, Pascal, this and this happened. The option number 1 or solution number 1, 2, 3, what do you want? So that person feels good, and still you gave him the options, and still you already worked stuff out. That's always possible. They like to compete. That's why they also like to have, let's call it, if they buy a car, they want to have a car that can compete. So it has to be fast.
And don't ever give someone with red energy an instruction manual.
Yeah. Yeah, they like to take that over, yeah, to make this decision and to go to the point. When it comes to yellow and of course, when it goes into a bad day, in a stress day, they can also, how you say that, walk over dead bodies, huh? And they say, fuck you, you're fired, I don't want to see you anymore. That's in the red energy when it comes to when it's not so nice outside, huh? When it comes to yellow energy, there you see it's about also being in the limelight. Yeah, they want to be around other people, but the people have to be around them, so they are more in the center. That's, for example, if you see a group coming in the restaurant, it's that guy who's always the loudest, saying yeah, so that everybody knows. Then they take the whatever table is free, and when you go as a waiter to the table and say, what do you want to drink, say yeah, we will decide, let them make 5 beers. So that's about that, you know. They have to stand in the limelight. They like to be around people and to talk, to be interactive. They are very optimistic when it comes to they have a they are very they have a conviction. You know, when they are certain that they are going for something, they really go for it. And that's the yellow energy. Yellow energy means also that they want to be uh, seen. That's also very important. They have this extrovert energy, and when they say something, they say, "Yeah, it's fine that everybody is here. I'm so happy that we're going to do that together. Oh, I know that we're going to have so much fun today. Oh yeah, high five everybody." That's yellow energy. Yeah, that's yellow energy. They like to be around people. If you have the green energy, of course. Wait a minute. We always have to also tell about the rainy days. Then they go into the drama queen. That's then the drama queen. Always I have to do everything by myself. You know what I did. I don't believe everything on my plate. I don't know how to handle it anymore. That's then the drama queen. That's where that behavior comes from, because they need this attention. They need to stand in the limelight. When it comes to green energy, it's about the caring. It's about the processes also. That this is also about in direct opposite to the decisive. They don't like to make decisions. They can make decisions. They can make perfect decisions, but they don't like to do that. They like it more stable. We do it as we always did. That's the process. That's how we go for it. And I'm going into it, and I'm doing it for the team. I'm doing it
Actually, can I
for the
give you
team.
an example?
Yes.
Could I give you an example? Because I actually experienced this like a couple of years ago when I became a behavior profiler with DISC at first, because I didn't know anything about Mapstell yet. I actually had a lady in my team, in my own team, and she had green energy, but I didn't know that until she had done the assessment. And I gave her new tasks every single day, and she was like dying every single day because she did not like challenge. She was a very stable person. Like I would say maybe 80% of the population have mostly green energy. So they don't like to step outside their comfort zone and so on. And it was a disaster. I mean, working with her, because she would never get anything done because she did not like the challenge. And when I found out that she had mostly green energy, I changed her job description, her TOR, her terms of responsibility completely, entirely. And finally, we got along, and she got a lot of things done. So this is how Mapstell can be so incredibly useful, for a team, for leadership, for effective communication, and also troubleshooting and conflict resolution. It's magical, I swear. I mean,
Yeah.
for my team, it worked incredibly well, and also for the companies that I've used this for. It really is magical. So thank you. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. When I will give an example for the teams later on, it also becomes clear. Green energy, when I have to give an example, for example, they are the people that always say yes when you say, "Oh, I have to move to another apartment. I'm going to leave my apartment. I need some people to help me." They are the first to say yes, and they stand also half an hour before you actually want to meet with everybody at the door. They are over punctual because they want never to disappoint somebody. And you know what? They also baked some cake. They also brought some cake to the moving part.
Very caring.
They care about the people. They like to do that. They like also to be hospitable to the people because they just like it, and that's okay. We also need that. That's the people that like to go to camping because they do the same thing as at home, just in a different environment. It's not too much that changed. The blue energy is when it comes to details then it goes to the people that are, for example, complaining about the typos that you have in your report. They say, "I read the report, and next time I will type it because there were so many typos in it." So you have to change that. So errors in your reports or whatsoever. Or they say things like that for example, "Oh no, that this is not in the contract. That's not in my contract." Or "Can you show me the protocol where this is written, because that's not what we talked about." So they go really into the details, and they go really on the facts and figures. That's very important for these people, and it works really good to get to know your place, but also that other people just behave differently, and that's opening the door in the end. When I go to the, there's of course way more that we can analyze. This is an example of a personal map that you get. So you get a whole explanation at the side, a whole explanation of your personal style. You get all these these fantastic pictures that you can discover, actually, where you can go onto a discovery and also to share it with another person. You get also parts on the map, and I will just briefly show it. And this is of course on every style, on every 16 style differently. You have here an area where it's about pitfalls. So they give you also some tips and tricks about your pitfalls. And there's also an island on how others perceive you. So that means this shows you how others may perceive you. This is in most of the cases also what you get as a feedback from a lot of people. Oh yeah, you're so you're always making such a theater out of it. You have always these 1,000 ideas, but you get nothing done. Or on the other way, you say, oh yeah, but you always with your details and so on, you always go by the book. It's not fun with you. So it's always what another person is going to maybe perceive. This is where it opens the door to a very nice dialogue. So this is what the participants get.
Sorry,
Yes,
because I don't know if this was clear, Pascal, that you get this map, or your clients would actually get this map specifically, you know, obviously depending on what region your energy is from, after having taken the scan of 25 questions.
Right.
That, you know, everyone answers.
You get first a video, and maybe when you are interested, you can send Katja a message. Then we will send you a link so that you can experience that on your own terms. I will organize that, Katja, no problem.
Oh, that's wonderful.
That you get a video with an explanation. You get also this personal map, and there's also the possibility of getting a full report of, I think, 24 pages.
Yeah, 24 pages.
24 pages. So a full report with more details, but also an explanation of all other behavioral styles, and also how you can approach it. Also with a more in-depth analysis with your percentages, and so on and so on and so on. So I think in that matter, there are several things what you can actually do with clients, also with companies, on different levels, depending on what they actually want to do. If it's a more interactive training, if you want to go more into detail, if you want to do also maybe a team scan. A team scan is also important, and I will show you. So this is one thing what you also get. You get a part of a so-called active profile and instinctive profile. Maybe today it's a little bit too far to go into that. That will alone to explain this will take some time. So you get different profiles also from your behavior. But what you can do with teams, and this is of course now the online part of it. As you can see, I did this. Sorry.
That's in German.
It's in German. It was also this was for a German second league football team. So what we did was analyzing their behavior, and also of the trainers. And you see the people, so the players, and here the triangles were I don't say what team, and I don't say what it was. It's a recording and live on Facebook, so cannot say that. But what the interesting thing was, this was the normal behavior what they have, and they reflected on, of course, also how their team is functioning together, because it's diagonal, it's completely opposite of each other. So it was opening the dialogue with the two trainers, because you can see it was easier for them in the group where they also are situated, and they had more trouble with the people on the other side, which opened for them the realization that they have to adapt actually to the players, and that maybe there's a reason why they have difficulties to approach the other players. But also in the players itself, it was very nice to see how they approached it. But what I could also see is how they react, and this is then in the analysis that you can do, how they react when they come under stress. Because when you come under stress, your behavior changes and adapts. And this is how they reacted under stress. So their behavior changed. So I could analyze this, and I could show them, okay, is this how your team reacts? And I could explain them exactly what happens when they get a goal. How the players change their behavior, and how the trainers change their behavior. And also how they change their behavior towards the players, which was a huge aha effect for them. Because it's different. I will give you an example. You have to, the blue energy on that side, if they are under stress, you have to treat them differently than the extrovert people. Introvert people, if you yell at them, if you put more pressure on them, you make it even worse. And that was a huge aha moment for them, why some situations get out of hand when they start to react on the players when they are stressed and they get more into an introvert energy. The last thing that I could show them is how they react in the changing room when they get the goal, when they get a goal the last minute and the referee ends the game right after it. And that was like this. Completely into the drama queen. And I could give them also some good advice on how they should react and give the people space to get their energy out and not to intervene and just let them cry and let them do stuff and so on and so on and so on, and to wait until the stress is out. This helped them a lot to improve the team dynamics on the sport field. The way how they treat each other and how they communicate with each other was improved immensely. And this is why it also works not only for companies, it works for any team, but also on an individual level as a coaching tool, because you can go very much into depth into how people react under stress and why sometimes they are not understood anymore, or they have the feeling that they are not understood anymore, and so on and so on. You have actually a scientific proven result where you can work with, and that's the strength of the whole tool. And it's not confrontative, it's indirect via a map, and people can use it actually to talk about the map and not about themselves anymore, which makes it way easier. Yeah. So here you see an example of the map when it is on the floor, which is of course in Corona times we have to make the map a little bit bigger so that we all can be 1.5 meters away, but everything is no problem in that matter. And yeah, there's actually several products what you can use. There is the personal map, there is the so-called route guide, so the 24 pages. You have a sales approach, you have a leadership approach, you have something called the autobiography, which is also then of course a nice thing because it's like going on the car, the auto, the car on the way on your of your map. And several things are still in development. So that's about the content, but of course there are also other stuff that is going to be developed. Oh, that was the wrong one. I'm sorry. This is a sneak peek, of course. This is a 3D thing where Mapstell is working on a help to analyze companies, what their need is in trainings. So this is still in Dutch. So They're still working on it. It will be also ready during the first part of 2021, where you can let the company fill in a questionnaire and you can see exactly where their need is, where they need to grow, where they need to do something with it. So it's also a complete approach on this. They're doing it. There's a augmented reality, what you can use actually directly. So maybe you have to go, and then it's not in German, but you have to switch this into EN for English. And then you can make your own experience with it. It's very easy to do that you do that on your telephone, and then you can have your augmented reality map on the telephone. So you can walk through the 3D map on your telephone if you do that, or you can also do that on your iPad, of course, also on your laptop. It's working. You can do that everywhere. That's a free tool what you can use. What Mapstell is also working on, what I can already also reveal, is a virtual reality. So approximately half a year ago, we already made some prototypes where people can literally put the glasses on and walk through their own map, their own part of the world, with even hearing stuff. It was crazy. You look up and you see the aeroplanes flying, and you hear the birds, and it was, yeah, weird is not the right word because it has a negative connotation. It was overwhelming. Maybe that's the right word. When you can walk through it and you can look to the left and right, and you see the mountains and you see the cities, and it's really crazy. So they're working also on a compass. They're working on a lot of projects. It's really nice to work with them. They're working also on a virtual classroom, which is then also very nice because you can put people virtually on this map, which is nowadays also a very good tool, as a lot of companies are looking for online possibilities to train their people. And you can do that also in a 3D format, putting people literally also in an online training room on the map. They're also working on this. So also there are solutions on the way for us all to help companies still in doing that. Maybe from my own experience, I work now as a guest lecturer in a university with this tool. The students, they love it. With all the pro bono work that we do all over the planet, Katja was also part of one part where we did something. I don't want to say it in a disrespectful way, no, not at all. But we did a project in Ghana, and they understood this immediately and said, "This is fantastic. Now I understand." So nobody ever worked with them on behavioral assessment and how to create a good communication with each other. So we talk a lot about nonviolent communication, but nobody talks with them about, okay, how do different people perceive the world, and then how to establish a communication with them. So that's also something. When we have a project in Jamaica where this is one of the major things, actually, nonviolent communication, and Mapstell will be one of the parts, how to help them to understand, to create this world of understanding, to establish this thing. These from the development parts. And maybe Katja, you want to add also one or two things still?
Yeah, not really. I mean, you've said a lot of things, and I very much agree with them. So I would like to give everyone maybe the opportunity to ask a couple of questions.
Yes.
If anyone has any questions, Charlotte had a question. I hope I answered it, Charlotte, or maybe Anna Karin has a question, Andrea.
We're not so many people in the room, so you can also unmute yourself and we can have a dialogue.
Unmute yourself. We want to see your beautiful faces.
I will put a stop to the...
Thank you for being with us all the way through.
So I will do that. If you have any questions about the business part.
Patrick. Hi, Patrick. Hi. Hello to Switzerland.
Well, yes. Could you explain the process when I just like work with a team, and I'm working online, which I think this is very adaptive to, and so everybody would have to do single work to find out, go through the 25 questions, and then you would map it out. Like, how does it work? How would the facilitating part work?
So from the process, they get an invitation, they get a link. There's everything. You get as a trainer, as a guide, you get access to something called a dashboard. And there you can manage actually everything. So you send them a link, they click on the link and they do the scan. They get immediately the video, but they don't get their results. So their personal map and their thing, that's something what you as a guide can determine when they are having access to it. So that's normally what we do during the training. So we give them access to these things during the training. Then you start, of course, there is a basic workshop worked out. This is also the thing where you get accredited on. So we're going to go through the basic workshop which you can use to do the team mapping. But before you start with mapping a team, of course, first you have to work on the I level. So the me level. So this would be the first part, and then we go to the recognizing part, and then to the team mapping. So you have also already approaches to develop a team from the I level to the we level. There's also a training. You get a manual and you get everything. So there are also these things are all part of the Mapstell environment.
So would you give feedback to the single person? I mean, is it just to know how do I communicate or how do I react to things, or is it also what kind of development can I have as a person?
Definitely, because what also very important is that people understand that they can adapt their behavior and change their behavior willingly. That's something what they can do, because active style is also how you want to be perceived. You act or you behave in the way how you want to be perceived in a certain context. And this is also something where you can work on. So you there on an individual level can always give advice on how to do that. There is an approach for this. When it comes to how do you do that in a training, in a facilitation, actually, and I can tell you how I do it, and also in the basic workshop, which is really working, is that first you explain the people, and that's the first part, about the basics of perception. It's very important that they understand that they may perceive the world differently than another person. And then we go into the measurements. So we explain them what we measured. And then we let actually the people explore the world by themselves, which mean in an online environment that we hand out the personal map, for example, we let them first explore it on their own. So read it, give comments, where do they agree, where do they not agree, and so on. We have normally 80% that people say, yeah, this is accurate to 80%, which is already really, really good, because luckily 20% we cannot measure the people and they stay individual. That's very, 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 very good. That's still in there. But what we also let the people have is have a dialogue in breakout rooms with each other. And what happens there is that they explain how they perceive their own map towards each other. And of course, you as a facilitator, you go into the breakout rooms if there are questions and so on and so on. But it really works that people start to have a dialogue about their behavior and how they approach things, which is very important for teams, that they just say, oh, now I understand. Maybe it's because, and then they start to understand each other. So the exchange part and the exploring part is an essential part of Mapstell, always to ask the people, how do you see it? Because when they ask you, okay, what does this and this and this mean? Actually, we have to be, as facilitator, the role model of how perception is working. And then we have to tell the people, what is your interpretation of this? What does it mean to you? If you understand what I mean.
Yeah.
But you know what, Pascal, I was also telling Charlotte that she can already also integrate Mapstell into her already existing programs, no? If she has a leadership program, you work with one of the managers of a company, whatever, and you can beautifully weave this into your training, and then ask the manager, okay, where do you stand? Where do you want to go? Where are your limiting beliefs? Like, why, have you already, gone that direction or whatever? So you can beautifully weave that into the existing workshops and trainings that you have already created and that you're already teaching and giving to people. So also, as I mentioned before, leadership, team building, team coaching, and things like that. So it's vast. The possibilities are endless.
Yeah, I will quickly give Charlotte an explanation what you also can see and what you can measure. So what we measure with this scan, with the personal map, with the route guide, is actually 3 different behavioral styles. One is called active style, one is called reactive style, one is called instinctive style. And you can all measure that with the questions that we ask the people. Active style is the style how you want to be perceived in a certain context, how you think you have to act depending on your role that you have. That is not necessarily the same as your instinctive style. Your instinctive style is your first reaction to stress, but also how you behave when you think that nobody is watching. So actually, without the masks, you know the persona, and when you already do these trainings, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And when there are differences, and this is what we did now here, where we laid one over the other, if there are differences, you have a dialogue. For example, I would say, now this is a fictive example for, of course, you have the instinctive, which is the white line, which is more in blue energy, blue behavior as the active style. And then we can ask, do you recognize this on your daily work environment? Do you recognize this? And maybe that person recognizes, maybe not, then we have to have a dialogue. And then you can also say, does that, maybe it costs people energy to change their behavior. So to hold themselves back in a certain energy, or to show more that they normally would, which can cause stress meaning with frustration if I have to hold myself back, or exhaustion if I have to do always more than I should. But it can also be that it's a willingly decision. So it's always individual. But when you work with a team leader and you ask them, for example, in this example, what does it mean? And that person says, for example, yeah, but my role asks of me to be very detailed. My role and the expectations on what I do on my job is that I am very, very specific. That could be an explanation on this example. And then you can give them nice advice on how to have a less energy consuming behavior, if you know what I mean. You can really help them. You can ask them the question, do you want to develop yourself in that behavior? Then you can give them different advice in, do you want, maybe you don't want to grow in that behavior. Well, then you can find somebody that's supporting you in that matter, or you can ask your team to support you in a different way, and so on and so on. So you can have a real detailed help and advice in that. So maybe we can have also a talk about that on a different level, as maybe it goes too far today.
We're over time a bit.
Yeah, but Charlotte, believe me, I work with 2 really big companies in that. Also with the CEO, and it helps these people also to understand where the limits are, and maybe also what is costing them more energy. It really works.
Thank you.
So I think we are coming to the end. So
yeah,
thank
I
you
see
so
a question.
much.
I have still one question. I see Anna Karin. Can you tell about the training and estimated time frame and investment to become licensed to use the tool?
Very good question.
Yes, good question. The time frame is that we, of course, do now an online part. Normally, no, can you say normally still, or how do we have to? So in the informal time, how do you say that now? So before COVID, we had a 2-day training program. So we invited people so that they also could do a live training. So we had 2 days of training to get accredited. Accredited means in that matter that you get to understand and to get acquainted to the tool, and also how Mapstell wants actually that the tool is used. Not in all details, because you have still the possibility as a trainer to adapt it to your style, but for example, not for example, in being the right role model to use the tool. give you an example. As a trainer, you don't say you are red, you are yellow, you are green. So there you say you behave with in the red energy or with the red behavior from the red region you are right now situated over there, so that you are using the right languages. This is also where we accreditate. We don't accreditate on trainer skills. That's not something what we do, because that's also not, it should not be the case. This is not a trainer, it's an accreditation to use the tool, like a driver's license, that you know the rules and then you drive later on yourself. So that's the accreditation part. Right now we do it, that we do an online part, and the offline part as soon as possible that we can meet, that we divide it. But when you are finished with the online part, you can also use it already online. Offline, why do we still have to meet offline? Because there are several things what you have to learn, how to use the floor mat, the mat on the floor. It is really a strong tool and a strong benefit to do these trainings in the future with the floor mat. And there are several things where you have to watch out. So that's the part where we still have to do something. But the first day of the 2-day accreditation we can do online. How do we do that? Well, that's an individual process. We can discuss that together. We do that at your pace, in your view. If you say I can do I only have 90-minute blocks where I'm available, then we do it in 90-minute blocks until we're done. If you say I can invest a whole half a day, then we go half a day through it, and it will be an individual part where I will do it with Katja together with you guys. So always individual. And where we go through the basic workshops, where we go through all the details that you may ever have asked, and you can also ask all the stuff. This is the online part where we do that. And offline, as soon as possible, we will offer several ones in Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. So general ones where people can just join. And in Italy, of course, we're also going to do that. Then I can add that to a nice week of holiday in the beautiful Italy. That's always good. Always good to do that.
When the museum
did that?
We'll invite.
Yeah. Did that answer already your question?
No, with the price, the cost.
Oh yeah, the costs. What we also said is, and let's be honest, we all know that this is a very difficult time for a lot of trainers and coaches. So we reduced also the costs. We reduced the cost. Normally it was the license was 1,500 euro to do the accreditation part, everything included, and now we said it's for 399, Katja, if I'm right. Yes. So we reduced that for the accreditation part. So the time actually that we're going to invest in having individual trainings with you guys. That's actually it. And there is
you to be fully accredited and
right.
Get your certification.
Right. That's a one-time investment. And to use the scans and actually the algorithm and the dashboard and everything and the e-learnings what you will get, and also there is a license that Mapstell is asking, which is 500 euro per year to use everything, which is easily with one training. Actually, all the costs are in. I'm doing that now for so long, using Mapstell, and actually it's one of the things which is a sure count on in these times, to be honest. So if you ask me from my advice, it's a simple tool, people get it, it's online proof, and it's more a community part where it's also working together. So that's also that's why Katja also invited you all guys to share that instead of keeping it for
do you have any further questions? Maybe Patrick?
But you get, if you ask, right? Later. Yeah, if you can always ask Katja via mail, that you get also to test the scan, that you can experience it yourself. I always ask her, and then I can go. You get also all the questions that you have. If you want to put them into an email, we have several documents that we can send you where actually everything is explained again.
Okay, here's the email address. And if you would like to take the scan, please just send me a quick line, and then we will send you the link to do the scan. It takes about 10-15 minutes to take the scan. That's it. So if you can spare those 15 minutes at the very most, and then you will receive a teaser video right away, and then we will send you the test results. So, and then afterwards, if you would like to talk about your results, I'm here to do that with you. Okay, so, and that's that. Thank you so much for your time, everyone. We went way over time. We said an hour. Sorry to have kept you for so terribly long, but it was a pleasure having you on board. Thanks again for being here with us tonight. If you have any further questions that come up after this webinar, then please feel free to send me a note or also a WhatsApp. I will also send my number in here. Okay. That's 3+39 in Italy, but most of you are in Italy. So feel free to contact me via WhatsApp or whatever, and I'll be very happy to chat with you. Okay. So, and that's that.
Great.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Charlotte. Thanks, Patrick, Alina, and Kathleen. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
And I would say ciao.
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 I will contact you later.
Okay.
Okay, thanks for
Bye-bye.
joining. Thanks so
Ciao.
much.
Bye.